Good afternoon, traders, and welcome to this week's weekly market analysis class, Monday the 27th of November. Before we get started, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Okay, let's have a look at what's happened in the week ahead and what's happening this week coming. So I'll bring my current events forward. Alright, let's talk US dollar first. This coming week, US dollar is pretty much going to be driven by the tax reform issue. If there's no meaningful progress from the Senate side, we can easily see the US dollar facing further losses. It has pulled back a little bit last week. And we need to see what happens on that front. This week, the scheduled news is a little bit on the light side. And I guess with the highlights being Miss Yellen's talk, which may be the most interesting. But really, for the US dollar, we kind of really need to wait for non-farm payrolls, which will be due out next week, to see if we have a better direction on what may happen and whether that December interest rate hike will come to fruition or not, and if it does so, what flavor or what message that will they send for 2018. So that's the US dollar. The next, I guess, a currency that's on a critical edge is the GBP, and whilst the sterling had a last week was supposed to break those highs and hit a new trading range on the back of Prime Minister May, which was supposed to increase her exit bill offer, but nothing was announced, and so where did all that go? So it didn't really give the sterling the stimulus that it needed. And now there's a new hurdle coming from Ireland regarding border security controls and the whole Brexit situation. So that momentum that was supposed to come from the sterling didn't happen. This week from the UK, the most significant data is probably manufacturing, and that may affect the direction of the sterling for us this week. Locally, our Aussie, have we hit a low? Or do we trade what we see? This is a great question, and we continue trading with the trend until it breaks. So what is it? We don't know, but when we look at the charts, I'll give you a bit further indication. This week's bottom, or if it is a bottom, was instigated by Governor Lowe's comments, which was that the Aussie dollar is more likely that interest rates will move up than down on the next movement, if at all. So those comments gave it a lot of stimulus. In terms of news that we have this week itself, let me highlight for you from the US. We have a whole variety of news, none of it overly market impacting, and as I already mentioned, probably Miss Yellen's talk over here is the one that perhaps may give us the most, but that's what we have from that front. GBP, the most significant is the manufacturing PMI, as I've mentioned, and the other significant one that I feel that may move the market more is probably the Canadian dollar, and it's the employment change numbers and the unemployment rate, which happens wee hours of Friday night or early Saturday morning, which way you want to look at it. So there you have it. That's the news that perhaps may impact the market the most. In terms of which currency pair is going to be affected the most, it's possibly going to be the GBP USD again this week. So keep a lookout on that. As always, the times that I'm showing you are in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So please take note. If you do have any questions, please send them through. Start typing them now. I'll bring my charts forward and let's have a look at what the market has on offer. Alright, kick it off with Aussie dollar. It was the chart of the day today. Very, very clear to me that we are in some kind of a downtrend. This low, which I talked about, which kind of coincides with this level here, is this the low, or do we continue to trade what we see? What do we think there, guys? What's your opinion? Do we trade what we see, or do we speculate a little bit? Can you still hear me? Am I talking to myself? Thank you. Okay, so let's trade what we see. So on those terms, that means, let me zoom in. I highlighted it this morning very, very clearly. It's an inside candle on a downtrend. We have broken already, so the actual trigger was about there. I'm a little bit late on it on this account, so I'm just going to jump in at market. My stop, I'm going to place somewhere over there, and I'll aim for 2 to 1. Alright, so let me make this easier and bring my, what am I going to bring? I'm going to bring my mini terminal. Where is my mini terminal? Make life a little bit easier. Drag and drop. Okay, my stop from current price 35. Let's make it 43 or something like that. So I'm going to sell fixed cash risk. I'm just going to put a full trade here, 250 in pips. My stop is going to be 44, and my target, I'm going to make it 80. Okay, are we ready? I'm going in at market. Done. Alright, so you can clearly see that my green line, I've almost got the identical price as I would have if I had the pending order. I want the market to go in this direction. There's my stop if just in case we're wrong, and this is my 2 to 1 target level. Okay, so we have taken that, and you can see that my mini terminal has sized the trade automatically for me. Whoops, I just went over that, and it's size 0.43 based on the parameters which I just expressed. Alright, so Aussie dollar we are short. Let's look at the Euro USD. Okay, we were looking at this little channel last week. We didn't quite get an entry off that level. Remember I mentioned I would have liked this candle to be a little bit longer to suit the proper hanging man type scenario, and as a consequence it's come down, it's pulled up, and it's broken. So what does that mean? It means that this channel now is useless to us, so let's delete it. And what else do we have? Okay, if the euro is now about to embark on, or continue, should I say, because it was on a really nice uptrend till it hit here, it looked like it was about to turn around. The fact that we've come back and taken out that high there would suggest that possibly we could resume in the trend. So what I'm going to wait for is, we have taken that high out. I'm going to wait for this one to pull back in a little bit. If we find a price action setup where I've just drawn that circle, that's what I would be looking for, and then I would be aiming to continue with an uptrend type of trade. Okay, so of course I'm going to treat this level here with great interest, and we'll measure it up as we get closer to it coming to fruition. But of course at this level here I'm also interested in a short. Okay, so as long as I got enough room to hit the targets that I've set, like a 2 to 1 target or something along those lines, well then I am not too worried about it at all. Okay, so Euro USD initially, well, let's wait for a pullback and let's see if we can get a trade up towards this ceiling, and then in an ideal world we'll get the trade up, and then when we hit the ceiling we'll get an opportunity to trade it back down. So that's what I'm looking for. Let's see how it plays out. That's my Euro USD analysis. Let's have a look at the GBP USD. Okay, last week we I drew in this box, okay, as we had expressed that we were trading inside the range. We've poked our little noses just out. Let me zoom in a bit so we can have a closer look. Right on the perimeter, we didn't quite produce a price action pattern to go this way. So in a sense, price action protected us from what could be a break. Let's wait and see what this current candle looks like, because we could get an inside candle out of these two. Let me just draw it a little bit differently, and I just want to see what it looks like, because can I justify this as it gone too far up? If I get a price action set up here, okay, we've had one level, two levels. It's just gone a little bit more than what I would like it, but let me just see what the current candle finishes looking like. So tomorrow morning when this candle finishes, look, it may just go and continue something like that, and then I won't have an issue at all. But if it does remain an inside candle, I'm going to have an issue whether I'm willing to trade this in that direction. The only thing that's kind of stopping me is the fact that this candle went up a little bit too high, and the body is a little bit, I don't mind if it was just a wick, but the body is, see, I'm already, the wicks over here start from this level, and that one is a little bit on the higher side. So let's see what it looks like tomorrow, and we can make a decision then. But right now, there's nothing that we can do other than wait for the current candle, and we may have the opportunity to trade this way. If not, we're going to have to let it take off, come back in, and then hit the trade in that area there if we get the price action reversal pattern that we are looking for. Okay, so there you have it. That's our GBP USD. Let's have a look at the US yen. US yen. Let me zoom out a little bit more. There's really nothing here. Okay, US yen, I've got nothing for you guys. The only thing would be if it pulls back in here and you're willing to try and take a trend trade down, but I think it's too early for that one. I would not be willing to take that one, so I'm just going to sit and watch, and let's see what develops here. Okay, so my US yen is a situation where I'll wait and watch. Let's move along. Euro yen. Okay, last week I drew this out, and I remember leaving you in a 4-hour chart. I said just wait a couple of candles and you may get an opportunity, and we got this one right here. Did anybody trade this? There's my two candles, big inside candle. You would have entered about there, and this trade hit target pretty quickly. Okay, I'm just going to show of hands who took that trade. Did anybody take that one? Okay, a couple of people responding. So far everyone said no, no one took it. Okay, there was another one also a few days later, right here, 3-candle pattern. Okay, it's a 3-candle pattern right there, which would have got you an entry right at the start of that candle. And again, we had another one. Did anybody take this one? This is a really strong consolidation zone, guys. So when you see it like this, we can see that the market is clearly, very clearly doing this. Okay, So price action is a reversal type pattern. It works extremely well in geometric patterns and consolidating zones because of the very nature of a reversal. So when we zoomed into a 4 hour, these are higher than normal probability type trades. So given that we're still in there, we're still in here, I'm going to keep looking for it. So the next place I'm going to look for it is I'm going to look for it up here to trade it downwards. Okay, and since the range is kind of narrow, I'm happy to step down into a 4 hour type time frame to catch it. Question being asked, what was the candle pattern? Yeah, I'll highlight it. Give me a second. I was in a 4 hour and I'll zoom in so we can all see it a bit clearer. The first one was over here, Karen. This one happened about 3 hours after the class because I remember I said you got to wait for the current candle to complete, and you had that. That's an inside candle. The second red candle is completely inside the first candle. Okay, so your trade would have triggered at the break in that direction. This trade lasted 4 hours and you hit your targets. The second trade that I'm talking about was this one over here. And this is like a hanging man type candle pattern where you have a down candle, then you have either a doji type or it can also be like a little hammer like this. And the key to this pattern is the next candle, the body must be closing more than 50% of that red one, and in this one clearly did. So it was like that the hanging man type pattern. Okay, does that answer that, Karen? So that was there. Yeah, Karen's making a comment. She didn't recognize it because it's a doji. Yeah, sometimes you got to look out for it. You can accept, especially the doji with a long tail. Okay, or like I said, it can have the little hammer as such. Okay, so this time round the pattern's still good. So the consolidation zone is still good. So let's wait for it up here and let's see if we get another go at it. But this time it'll be in the other direction. Alright, so our Euro Yen plan remains the same. The market has still not broken out of that region. It's been trading inside this zone for quite a few, quite a while actually, since the 20th of September. So that's a couple of months. That's 2 months. So when it's so solid, just look for it. Alright, we might get another trade out of this one. Alright, so that's our Euro Yen. Let's move along. Let's have a look at the Kiwi. Alright, the Kiwi keeps doing exactly what we're saying, but without giving us a trigger or an entry. Alright, so it's coming in. It's pulled back again. Oh, there is one little trade here. Can anybody name it? It's not my favorite, but can anybody name it? What's this? These two candles. What would they be for me to trade this? Rav, Phoebe, well done. It's a body engulfing candle setup. So here's the question now. The Kiwi dollar and the Aussie dollar are highly correlated. We've just taken a position on the Aussie dollar. Very similar looking chart. Let me just show you so you can compare. This is the Kiwi and this is the Aussie. Okay, so that's the Aussie, which we've just taken a position on, and this is the Kiwi. Let's do it again. There's the Kiwi. So quite similar. Since this one is not my favorite and I've just taken a position on the other one, I won't take it. But if you guys want to take this is a body engulfing for the same reasons as we're taking the Aussie dollar. Okay, so you may want to take a smaller position. Look, what the hell? Let's just take a position. I'll take a smaller position though. Give me 1 second. Trade what you see, Cristian. Don't chicken out. Where is my mini terminal? Here it is. bring it over, click OK. Alright, I'll take a half position on this. It's a body engulfing, which means I should have entered about at the open of the candle, so I'm about 15 pips at a worse price, but I'll take it. I'm selling. My risk. Alright, I'll risk 100 only on this one, so a little bit less than half. My stop from where I am has to be about 50 pips. Now, this is important here. My stop's there. My entry should have been there. So my 2-to-1 target should be based on this distance, not the distance that I'm going to enter at right now. So if I base it on that distance there, it should put me about here. Let me measure that. I'm doing it visual. So it's about 30. So say 40. Okay, so my target should be about 40 pips based on had I got in correctly at the start of the candle. Does it make sense for me to enter a trade with a 50 pip stop loss and a 40 pip target? Yes or no? If you don't know, give me a question mark, but I need everybody to answer this. Okay, got a whole bunch of no's, and I've got a few that are giving me the question mark. Okay, the premise of trading in price action. Okay, so let's talk about a trend-based trade, which this is what it would be. Okay, so let's say we were going to enter the trade at that point there. We were going to get some kind of price action, and we entered the trade here. Let's just say that was a technical place to enter, and my stop had to be here. So my target, if we're trying to get 2-to-1, would be there somewhere. But for some reason we see the trade late. Okay, we see the trade late, and what happens, we end up getting in on the trade here. Let me mark that with a different color. Give me 1 second. And we end up getting on the trade over here. The stop still has to be up here because that's the technically correct place for the trade to go. This becomes my new risk. This is really the target. If I want to make this trade a 2-to-1, it would have to be all the way down here. If I want to continue to satisfy the 2-to-1. But this target down here doesn't make sense with the reason why I took the trade. Okay, so I realistically cannot look for a better target than this one here, which would now give me the situation where I'm in a trade where I've entered here and I've got a smaller target than my risk. Now this trade itself may have a percentage win ratio of say 50%. Okay, so if I'm risking more than what I'm making at a 50% win ratio, which is about right for trend based, geometric, when I do pattern trading or channels, all that things, it goes up to about 60%. In trend, it goes down a little bit. Okay, it doesn't make sense. The mathematics don't make sense. So for that reason, I am not going to take this trade. Okay, even though I wanted to, when I started to measure it up and I measured the distances, I realized that it didn't make sense. Does everybody understand the logic of what I just said? Questions being asked, why would I not use it like a trailing stop? Well, that's not the method that I'm trading here, Dennis. You can apply those principles, but what I'm applying when I do give me a sec, let me get rid of this so I can draw again. When I'm doing price action type trading in trends, like for example, I can get multiple bites at the same trend. So let's say the trend was here, I might be able to get one little trade there, another one there, and another one here. And that's what I'm aiming at, so that I don't need to, because with a trailing stop, you need to give it the space to breathe. And if you give it too much, well, then you risk losing everything. So I don't trade with trailing stops. I prefer, to, out of the one movement, this would be considered one movement. We could possibly get 3 trades or even 4 trades without the need of a trailing stop, and removing profits as you go along. Okay? So that is the reason for that. I'm not necessarily saying that trailing stops is a bad way to trade. I do believe that the use of trailing stops is purely a psychological method for a trader to manage their emotions. Okay? And in other words, they're locking in a little bit of profit as the trade starts developing their way, and they're managing their emotions that way. Alright, so Kiwi dollar, we nearly took a trade, but nothing. US CAD. Okay, the US CAD I can see now is forming. We'll see it better in a 4-hour chart, but it's forming a converging triangle. Alright, let me zoom into a 4-hour chart. We'll see it a bit clearer. Let me draw some lines to help the eye. Okay, so there's the pattern. The first, for it to be a pattern, we need 2 touches on each side, which you've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So therefore my first trade is up here. We're going to wait for it up there, and then we're going to try and hit it down. We should have enough room to get 1 trade before we hit this line. Okay, so let's wait for that. I have zoomed in to a 4-hour chart. Please take note, otherwise you won't see this chart on a daily. Alright, so that's my US CAD plan. Let me look at gold. Gold is doing the same thing. I can see it now. Let me just get rid of this line. I don't like that one. Gold is starting to compress. And if I drop into a 4-hour chart, we may be able to see it a little bit clearer. Actually, the bottom line is better than the top line, but you can just adjust it. Let me just redraw it. Hang on. See, sometimes on a daily chart, it looks, on a 4-hour chart, it doesn't look good because the wicks, I don't mind the wicks coming out, but on a 4-hour chart, there's a bit of body on candles that are moving out. And I don't think I'm going to have enough room there to pull a trade. Alright, so this one will have to be the opposite. This one, we can't take a trade back in, so we're going to wait for compression, and then you can try and trade the breakout or the breakdown. Okay, if you don't like breakout trading, well then just sit aside and just watch it. But that pattern is definitely there, and I can tell you that it's probably been spotted by a lot of people as well, which makes it gives it higher participation rates, which is what we need. Alright, so that's gold. Lastly, let's have a look at oil. Ooh, oil. We've broken new highs again, so we've taken that out. We traded this one, remember? We traded that movement down. Let me zoom out, let me see. I'm just going to draw a line across here, just so that I remember. All I'm doing is marking out that last high, so that when I reach there, I am aware of it. We're still far away from it. So, oil, the logical kind of trade would be wait for a pullback, hit it, and away you go. Just like over here, there was inside candle and a nice trade. Okay, so over here there was another one, inside candle, nice trade. Alright, so just look out for it. So look out for a pullback. We want to hit that, and away we go. Okay, any questions? Please type them in. I've covered everything. I'll go back and summarize, and I'll answer any questions that you may have as you type them in. Aussie US, we've taken a position inside candle. It was the chart of the day. You can see we are short. The green is my entry, and I've pretty much got the same price as I would have. That's my stop. That's my target. Euro USD, we're waiting for a pullback before we hit our price action trade as such. GBP USD, let's wait for today's candle to finish, and let's see how it looks tomorrow if we do take that trade or not. I won't make a decision right now. I don't have to make it right now, so I will look at it tomorrow when the current candle finishes, and we'll see how we go. US yen is the chart that we said. There's really nothing here. The only thing you can do is wait for a little bit there, but no, I said no to that because I just don't like it. Let's move along. Euro yen, this is a hot chart. Last week it gave us 2 winning trades. Zoom in to a 4-hour time slot and try and hit your next trade in that direction as such. Kiwi dollar, there is an engulfing, body engulfing downward, but it doesn't make sense for us to take it right now because it's already moved away, and it changes when we apply 2-to-1 principles of reward to risk on it. The trade doesn't make sense. US CAD on a 4-hour, we've got a converging triangle. There could be a trading opportunity for us over here. Let's wait for it and let's see if we can hit it. Gold, we could possibly take a break out from this triangle, so keep alert if that's the style that you like to trade. WTI, let's wait for a pullback, look for the price action and movement up towards this top line, which could be resistive for us. Question being asked, let me see, one moment. Miles, can you remind me what trades were they? Someone asked me, can I go back and see how my 2 trades that I traded last week went? What can someone remind me what it was? What date was it last week? Let me see. The 20th. It's 20th. Was it no, that I don't look at the GBP CHF, so it wasn't that. Was it the US CAD? Can anyone remind me? Was it a US CAD? Let me see this trade. No, it's not that one. One second, I'm just trying to get. My MT4 Euro USD. Sorry, my MT4 is just crashing. Give me 1 second, guys. If I lose my MT4, I've got to shut it down. I've done something. Give me 1 second and I'll reboot it. 1 One moment. Okay, Euro USD. Let me see. Custom period. What's I don't have any trades. I don't know what account I was logged into. Um, we took one on the 21st. Someone saying we took it on the 21st. Karen saying was it Euro USD? Let me look at it. I must have been logged into another account because it's not on this account. Sorry, Miles, I can't find it. If it was a Euro USD trade, no, it wasn't a Euro USD trade because based off this chart, there's no trade there. There's no trade there. Okay. Normally, sometimes I'm logged into different accounts. This one that I'm logged into today it's a demo account. One of my live accounts copies this one, but I must have been in another account. I'll try and find it and see. I'll go back and watch in fast forward motion. I'll watch last week's class and I'll have a look at what trade I actually took. Okay, and then I'll post it. I'll Twitter it out. Okay, guys. All right. If there's no other questions, we'll wrap up. We'll call it a day. Hope you all have a fantastic trading week. Keep watching the daily call. Any questions? Email us at the same email that you get your invitation from. And I'll make sure that I respond to you. One last question. Are this the pairs that mostly trade or just ones that you trade? Dennis, I look at the majors. So what I've looked at today is I look at the essentially 5, 6 of the major Forex currencies, and I look at a couple of the commodities as well. Sometimes I look at an index. If someone wants me to look at something, I usually will. But I try to stick to the majors. The method that I like to trade works best on the majors, and it works best when there's massive participation, so that's the reason for that. So quite happy with the results, so we will continue to do it that way. But if you do have a request at any of the classes, just tell us what you want us to look at and I'll try and dig it up and see what I can tell you about it. Okay? Alright guys, let's wrap up. I'll speak to you next week. Apologies for the late start today. It was something unforeseen that I needed to attend to, but nevertheless we did it. Alright, take care. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.